Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and I really don't want to be here today, but that's for another story. But today's story is a very interesting iPhone 6s that I have not opened up or taken a look at on the inside at all. Simply plugged it in to see what happens, and interestingly enough, once you plug it in, well, first let me show you this. Try to power it on. We get dead screen. No signs of life. No low battery and logo, no nothing, right? Well, we'll plug in our charger here. It starts pulling about 0.14, 0.2 amps on there, so nothing to write home about. Then we get the Apple logo to start up. Now, normally you can unplug it and it would stay on, but instantly it shuts off. This leads me to believe that something is wrong with the battery, or that the battery is severely compromised to the point that it is not even connected to the board anymore, because this is exactly what a phone with no battery would do. It would attempt to boot, but then you would remove the power source and it would just die. So I'm going to open this up and we are going to figure out why we have no battery. And I can tell you right now, there's definitely a battery in this thing, because of the weight that I feel. Don't think it's one of those classic Chinese filled with a sandbag or anything. Well, that's a great sign. We're off to a great start already, aren't we? Just goes to show that even when you've done thousands of these, there's still the chance that it might break on you, especially if it's an aftermarket screen. Oh boy. So first off, yes, it did break because it's an aftermarket screen, and this one just apparently, yeah, quality has been slipping ever since the Wuhan coronavirus. Quality out of China has been really slipping. Now this one's interesting to me though, because we've got, of course, a screw sitting right here on the vibrate motor where it would be, because magnets and Apple's loose screws. They only put Loctite on ones that don't matter, like ones up here, not on ones that do matter, like near a vibration motor, something that physically moves repeatedly. I can also see that the battery has been held down with electrical tape. I don't know how the battery is adhesed. It's not factory adhesive. You can tell by how much it moves right there, but that's definitely electrical tape. Okay. Let's dig it a little bit deeper here. Let's see what we can find. By the way, the screw that's sitting right here on the vibrate motor is a really common thing that happens on iPhones. Even if your phone has never been taken apart before, there's a good chance this will happen to you. You can tell because this screw has no Loctite on it, or, sorry, it has a microscopic dollop. But more or less what that comes out of is it comes out of the home button bracket. It's always out of the home button bracket if it's on the vibrate motor. If it's over here on the speaker, it's usually the side rails. Sometimes it can be that home button again, but it's usually the side rails if it's stuck to the speaker, and usually the home button if it's stuck to the vibrate motor. Go figure. At least they designed something to be consistent. Already I'm seeing some staining along here, some signs of liquid probably got in this thing before. Can unplug the battery, which should have no effect at all because, well, it's not providing any power in the first place. Don't know what's adhesing that down. And I don't know if I'm supposed to peel this thing back because I feel like that's shielding something that shouldn't be exposed. Yup, okay. Let's assume that a repair shop has been inside this one before and has obviously removed the battery for one reason or another. And let's assume that they only used a strip of adhesive underneath, because I feel like most repair shops do that. If that's the case, we should be able to pry, unless it's a thicker one, and it feels like a thicker one. I have to break out the old booze. Let's get this battery fixed right up. We'll flood it with some alcohol. And then just like that, with a very little amount of force, we should be able to pull this thing right out. Interesting. Plot thickens. We are not having an easy time prying it out. Let's pry harder. Cool. Alright, so this is an OEM battery. Not sure what's going on with it. I don't see any other signs of damage other than the end piece here being kind of ripped. That could actually do it. Let me grab my battery tester. My new, I actually got a new tool to play with that reads batteries. I got an old one that reads batteries and does a pretty good job. But let me grab the new one and we'll see how that does. So this one's actually my old battery tester. It's made by Kaishi or Kaishi. I call it Kashi, like the cereal. It's Kashi Go Lean battery tester and jumper. But I also just recently got this cool thing, the iCopy Plus. This one is from Chun-Li, who's also my favorite character on Tekken. Oh, I'm just kidding, that was probably mean. But yeah, so check this little tool out. It's got a bunch of stuff on it. Comes with 2 different boards for testing. This one's got a battery detection connecting board, pretty neat. And then this one is for reading the True Tone display on Apple screens. It also allows you to reprogram the vibrate motor, which I'm not really sure what functionality that would have. And yeah, that's kind of neat. And I haven't really figured out what the ground SCL is. I'm pretty sure that's just for pin testing. But I'm going to pop that off. We're going to pop on our battery. And interestingly enough, this little guy is powered by a lightning port at the bottom. They made it look very much like an iPhone had a baby with a BlackBerry or something. You know how BlackBerry loves to have those physical keyboards and short screens. Let's get plugged in. Yes, it does actually flash like that. That's not just the camera. Alright, so now it's gone into the battery detector mode. I'm going to take my battery here. We're going to find the one that aligns to the 6 right there. And there's that one down at the bottom. You can actually see this is weird layout here. But the iPhone 6s Plus, 6s, 6 Plus, and SE, oddly enough, run down all the way down here to this one right here. Weird, but okay. We'll plug it in. Shows connected. See if we can't read anything off of it. No, we cannot. What if we flip it? Maybe it wants to be plugged in the other direction, which is not actually how it connects. I should let you know. That actually shorts out the tester, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's not the right way to plug it in. I'm also getting no read off of this whatsoever. That's a bad sign. Probably means the battery's dead. I'm going to power off the Chun-Li tester. Take my tool here, put them back in the board. I always like to repackage my tools exactly the way that they came. That way they stay protected better and they last a little longer. So, if you're interested in retaining True Tone during a repair of an iPhone and providing you're using something that has a OEM LCD or an OLED display like the iPhone 10, this will work beautifully. It does not work well with aftermarket displays. Some it does, some it doesn't. It seems to be really picky. Like I had it work with a aftermarket LCD on an iPhone XR, but then not work on an aftermarket LCD from an iPhone 8. So it's hit and miss, but it does a good job, and it helps you be a professional as far as refurbishing and repairs go, because you want to give that device back to the customer in such good condition that it feels like it came out of the box and everything is working fine. So iCopy Plus from Chun-Li, check it out. We're going to move on to the old school board tester. This one doesn't care so much about smart chips and readings and data and all that. It just pumps power. So we'll plug this in. We are getting a nice 2.66 volts out of a 3.8 volt cell that when charged should be at 4.2 volts. So we're almost half voltage. So what we're going to do with that is I'm going to leave it connected to this guy right here, and I'm going to plug this one in. It's got a DC input right there, which is a micro USB. The micro USB I'm going to use to charge up this battery. Let's see what happens. After plugging it in, it jumped right up to 3.6, so that's interesting. In the meantime, let's come back to this phone. I'm going to go grab a battery for this one that I know is charged and see what it does. Okay, so I might have run into a little bit of trouble. I am completely out of iPhone 6s batteries, so I don't actually have one to test with, but what I do have is an iPhone 6s Plus battery. Now the iPhone 6s, 6s Plus, and as we saw, the SE and one other that I don't remember, uses that same connector, and in theory should use that same battery. So I went with the 6s Plus instead of the SE, just so I could get something that is as close to it as possible. We're going to hold down our power button, and we have life. We might just have had a bad battery after all, which is terrible because now I have to replace a screen that shattered, but that's okay. That's part of the gig. Let's make sure it boots up and displays, and we will then probably just fix up the screen and wait for the batteries to come in. I've already placed the order, and we should be getting those batteries in probably this morning. It is snowing like crazy outside here, so the FedEx guys might be a little scared and not come by today, but we'll see. Looks like touch is working, battery reading is good, and yeah, so I think we're in the clear. Now we just got to fix up a screen and wait for those batteries to arrive. So I'm going to pop this out. I'm kind of concerned though. I'm slightly concerned because it said no service at the top. And it definitely has a SIM card right in here, so yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. This phone might have some radio issues too. We'll find out. Alright, give me a sec. I'm going to run and grab a screen and we will get this all fixed up. Talk about good timing. My neighbor actually just brought over a package that was for us that they received this morning. So that one should actually have my batteries on it. Pretty excited. We might be able to get this one fully fixed. In the meantime, let's take the screen off and answer the phone. Never mind that phone. I don't know if you guys in your shops use Ring Central as your phone systems. Constantly for the past, I don't know how many months, we will get a phone call and it will ring once, it'll ring twice, and then it just stops, just cuts off. And my assumption is that it's a spam call that's being filtered and it doesn't kick into the filter for the first ring or two, but I don't understand. I don't know if my store's phone is cutting people off, is basically what I'm trying to say. And if you guys have Ring Central in your stores and could let me know if you guys get those same kind of calls, I'd be really interested to find that out. Alright, so we take this off. Oh, okay. Well, I think we've located our issue here. Now, normally this is, if you repair phones for a living, you know that red dot is not a death sentence. You know that this is fully savable, and you saw that it just worked fine right on here. So you know this is repairable. But, unfortunately in this instance, we do not warranty water damage at my store. So because we worked on this phone before, we would warranty it. And we would also warranty, the battery or the screen when it's damaged like this. Being water damaged, that warranty does not apply. So I won't be able to fix this for the customer pro bono, so to speak. I may end up replacing that screen as kind of a courtesy because it definitely wasn't cracked when it came in here. But the battery, unfortunately, is not going to be warranted or replaced free of charge. That said, looks like that's the wrap of this video because now I have to call the customer, wait for them to prove it, and yeah, we'll go from there. But in reality, I think you all can watch another one of my videos on replacing the screen and battery on a iPhone 6s. They're not terribly difficult, pretty straightforward things. Yep. Well, we'll pack this one up. Thanks so much for joining me on this video, guys. I know it ended up being a little bit of a long-winded one, especially for just ending up being a bad battery, but I always think it's interesting to jump in and see why certain devices are acting a certain way. So maybe, just maybe, if you're testing an iPhone 6s or an iPhone in your shop, and you plug it in and you're only getting a couple tenths of an amp charge, but the screen lights up, but then dies immediately, hopefully this video will help you narrow it down. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.